You're listening to the Ballroom Network. The following program is intended for all audiences. Welcome to the South Burbs Hitmen podcast with your hosts, Joe Mandel, Steven Zim Zimmerman, and Vinnie Parisi. We're bringing you the White Sox coverage you need from the perspective of true Southsiders. Grab your Kaminsky dog with an ice cold beer and meet us in section 155. Everyone get on your feet for your South Burbs Hitmen.
That ball hit deep. Way back. You can put it on the board. Yes. Jimenez in the air. Left field. He's your hero tonight. Thanks, Cubs. Over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws. Out! And the White Sox have won the World Series. Alexei! Yes! 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 History! A perfect game by Mark Burley, and what an unbelievable play by 21.
First pitch starts now. What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the season finale of South Burbs Hitmen. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Mandel, and I'm joined, as always, by my White Sox brothers in arms. I'm talking about Steven Zim Zimmerman and Vinnie Parisi. It has been a lengthy, what do we want to call it, vacation. But the White Sox have been increasingly brutal as the season has gone on. And they are now the worst team in modern baseball history by one game anyway. So anyway, it's been a hot minute, guys, since we spoke. We're going to put a nice little bow on this all and sweep it under the rug and act like it never happened. So Vinny, Zim, how you guys doing? It's been a hot minute. Zim, how you been?
I'm alive, man. I'm living. My fantasy season, is looking a lot like the White Sox season. So
Excellent.
I'm getting to relive all of this all over again in the midst of all this Caleb Williams hype. It's like the White Sox are still relevant to some of us. Unfortunately, I'm fighting for my life here to not be the worst ever. But I genuinely may put up the first offer in the history of the Barroom League. At least it's looking that way. We got a long way to go, but man, you know how you knew that these White Sox were not going to be a very good team back in like April? That's how it's kind of feeling for my fantasy squad right now. So, hey, White Sox season is over. They gave us a really fun finish to the season. In all honesty, I was really hoping that they would avoid it, and how fitting for them to lose or to win 5 of 6. Just to get one game over the modern day record. It's unreal. It's poetic. It's proof that it was meant to be, that Jerry needed one nice big freaking black mark on his resume right before what feels like the end of his storied career as a manager, as an owner.
That would be a plot twist if he's the next manager of the White Sox.
Oh my God, what a plot twist that would be. Hey, he can't be any worse than the guys they've been hiring. So
she's like the crypt keeper. Heading over to our buddy Vinnie Parisi. Vinny, it's been a hot minute. Any life updates, and how are you feeling about the wonderful end of the season?
Well, I don't have too many life updates for you. I got a bunch of wedding planning going on. That stuff's super fun.
More wife updates, am I right?
Yeah, happy life, or happy wife, happy life, as they say. I will be right in with that soon enough. As far as the end of the White Sox season, I mean, what a crazy ending. I mean, at least it was entertaining. At the end of the day, sometimes I do just look to watch sports to be entertained. I mean, I know we podcast, we write about it, we tweet about it, whatever it is. But, at the end of the day, sometimes I am just, a fan, a big fan of the team. I grew up a White Sox fan. My dad put a White Sox hat on me when I was a young lad, and I really never took it off. So to see what happened this season was sad. It was heartbreaking. It was frustrating. It was angry. There was a lot of emotions that I felt from time to time throughout the year. And then, I had some legit pride in being a White Sox fan at the end of the season, because it really, in ways that it probably shouldn't have, pissed me off in ways that you can't understand. How many Cub fans and fans from around the league traveling to Chicago to see history. Let's go to Guaranteed Rate Field. We're a bunch of drunk Cubs fans. Let's go to Guaranteed Rate Field. The Cubs are out of town. They're not making playoffs. They arguably had a equally as disappointing of a season relative based on expectations.
Absolutely.
I mean, it really is true. There are Cubs fans who would argue that with me till the end of time, but it is absolutely true. Their season is on par in terms of disappointment relative to expectations. Anyway, that's a different story. I'm just so happy none of them got to see it. They all wasted their time. They all wasted their money. They gave it to Jerry Reinsdorf, who's going to now go ruin all their favorite basketball team. I mean, it's great karma. I'm so happy that they swept the Angels in Chicago and they went to Detroit and, took 2 or 3 from the Tigers. Right as we speak today, they're 1-1 after winning a big game in the ALDS. That Tigers team, the White Sox went and beat 2 out of 3. The one game they lost put them as their 121st loss, the single record for the post 1901 modern era of baseball as the worst team of all time. They clinched on that day with their victory, did the Detroit Tigers. Jason Benetti's their announcer. There's just a whole bunch of poetry that goes with what happened with the way the White Sox season ended, but they had a little bit of fight. They tried not to be the worst team of all time. It was clear to me that they were trying every single day to go out and get these wins so they don't go down as the record book. I had a conversation with my good friend, shout out Sam. I do the Let's Go Devils podcast with him.
You broke up, Vin. What was the person's name? Sorry.
Sam Wu. Sorry. My good. I do my Devils podcast with Sam, and we were on the phone the other day chatting up about the upcoming season. And he goes, really quick before we hang up, I know the White Sox broke the Mets record. The Mets broke their record for the worst team of all time. He goes, they're not actually the worst team of all time. That Mets team was way worse. There was an expansion team with players that never, ever, ever would have the career status that Andrew Benintendi has, or Garrett Crochet, or Andrew Vaughn. The White Sox do have players that would make other MLB rosters. This Mets team was an expansion team that had a bunch of castaways that nobody ever would have thought would make anything in the league, and they never did. So it is a little soothing to hear that other people from out of town are like, well, it's not. It's in the conversation for the worst team of all time. But they finished strong. The Mets never had a stretch like that in that season where they finished the season 5 out of 6 wins against the Angels stink, but I would consider beating the Tigers. I was proud of that series to end the year.
I was stunned as you are, guys.
Exactly. Yeah. And you end the season with a big win. I had fun with it at the end. By the time it was all said and done, I had a good feeling about it.
Absolutely, man. And it's nice to feel heard. We've said this a lot on our shows, meaning we're definitely not the only Sox fans out there thinking it, that it's somehow this team was worse than the sum of its parts. It's it was subtraction by addition at times, which didn't make any sense. And it really does feel like weirdly enough that this team, could revamp the bullpen and be right back in it next year. You brought up some points pre-show that I'm sure we'll get to later on, but just generally speaking, this team was kind of just in a bad spot at a bad time. And it doesn't make anything, any more forgivable by any means. Right. They were still stinky doo-doo. They were still barely a major league ball club at times. They still own 3 14-plus game losing streaks on the season. That's all totally valid and things that happened that are not going away anytime soon. But winning cures all everything. I lost my thunder, man. I lost my thunder. The train just left the station while I only had one foot on board.
I know, and I had that never-ending story dragon queued up, and I was like, "Oh, he didn't say anything."
Nope, I lost it. Can you tell we're in off-season form already? I've gone.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, as you guys are aware, I've got a lot of family that works in the ballparks, and I heard from numerous people that White Sox fans were pissed off that they didn't get to witness history. They pissed off that their own team is winning. And to you White Sox fans, I say, just be happy that they're trying to win. Just be happy. They got the record. They did it on the road. Whatever. Do you really want to break that record at home in front of your fans? No, these guys want to win. They're busting their hump. My question for you. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say my question for you guys is they showed a lot of heart and a lot of moxie. That's an old school word for you guys. A lot of moxie that last week and a half of the season. My question for you is, did Grady Sizemore do enough to keep this job? Is this team even going to be remotely competitive? I don't think so. So because of that, and the heart that they showed with Grady, is he back, or do you think they go another direction? I just got to ask.
My opinion is it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, they probably will go with Grady again unless something crazy happens. I think they have a chance to break the record again next year. I really, really do. I know they finished strong and they played well because you know what? They didn't just stick it to the Cub fans that went to the game or the dork White Sox fans that went to the game specifically to see history. They stuck it to Jeff Passan. They stuck it to Ken Rosenthal. They stuck it to Jesse Rogers. All these guys who basically went cross country following them around to try and be there while they get the record. The media from USA Today and New York Times and this person, that person, all these crazy famous people were in town to see the White Sox, quote unquote, become the worst team of all time. They got every last mile out of those people. Next year, that's not going to be the case. There's not going to be as much of an infatuation with the White Sox being the worst team of all time or one of the worst teams of all time because they were the year before. And I think that motivation that they had will evade them this offseason. And quite frankly, they'll probably get worse. They'll probably trade Crochet. It won't shock me if they spend $0 in the offseason. And if they do that, they're heading back to the season next year with largely the same problems that they had this year. And yeah, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, even if it's 110 loss ball club, it won't be the worst team of all time on paper, but they'll be up there. It'll be one of the worst teams in White Sox franchise history because the only thing they need to do to be the second worst team in White Sox history next year is only lose like 106 games. Well, do we really think the White Sox are going to improve by 20 games or 18 games, whatever it is, over the offseason? I just don't see that happening. I know water regresses to the mean, levels out. Andrew Vaughn can't be as bad as he was in April and May again next year. Benintendi, maybe he finds something. He's playing for the team. The Yohan Moncada drama is going to be gone. Eloy's not there anymore. Apparently he was an asshole. There are all sorts of things. So next year is interesting for the White Sox. I would bet the over on their loss total, though.
Wow.
I mean, based on what we've seen the last few years, 81 losses 3 years ago, 61 losses a year ago, now 41 victories, 81 victories 2 years ago, 61 last year, now 41 this year. They're on pace for a 21 win season next year. And that 1 win season in 2 years is going to be unbelievable. But as much as we joke and kid, I totally get where you're coming from, Vin, because it's something that a lot of us Sox fans have looked at already and looking ahead to the offseason. I'm sure we'll have some kind of offseason show this season. Maybe not. But they're looking at hiring Skip Schumacher as one of the rumored guys. As much as Grady might have earned this job, I don't really know. And they've got better candidates than Grady Sizemore in the building already. And that's another thing that you also have to factor into all this. And it really just makes you wonder, like, what is the goal? Where are they headed? What is the plan? Because I'm beginning to think that there actually might be a plan based on everything that they're doing with their international scouting department right now, right? They are majorly overhauling that department. They are really starting to take a new look. And I think part of it is because they went out and they got Oscar Colas. They went out and they got Eloy Jimenez. They went out and they got all of these Cuban, Dominican, various Central American country players, and they all kind of shat the bed as soon as they got up to the majors.
Every last one of them.
Literally, Luis Robert is like the best one out of the group, and like I've said for this entire season, or maybe even longer, he's the little brother superstar to the rest of the league. He's a 5-tool player. Yeah, sure he is, White Sox fans. You guys go have fun with your 5-tool guy. We got 3 of those guys on our team right now in San Diego. So at any rate, I really think that the Sox believe they're moving in a direction, and the direction that they believe they're moving is the right one. Whether it is or is not, remains to be seen. But they're not spinning their wheels is the main thing. The way that it feels like they have been for year after year after year after year. And yeah, it's probably got to get worse before it gets better. Look at any type of home renovations you do. I'm a new homeowner. I'm learning this very quickly. It's going to look a whole lot worse before it looks any better. And that's just how it goes. So fingers crossed that's what's happening. Chris Getz actually has a plan. Jerry doesn't, kick the bucket too soon, and we never get to see the fulfillment of all of this with new ownership, because new ownership isn't going to stand for this shit, because that's what it is at this point in time.
Don't you love it?
Let's see what happens, though. We've looked at it. Sox fans have looked at it for months now this offseason, looking at what Vinny's been talking about with them probably regressing. Like, yeah, they're going to get back to the mean eventually, but in the meantime, in the interim, what are they going to do? They're going to get rid of Moncada, right? That's going to free up a bunch of salary space. Why would they keep Benintendi if they're not competing? That's going to free up some salary space.
Well, what are they going to cut him?
You could find a trade for him. If you're willing.
I was going to say, Jerry's not cutting him. Jerry wants that trade.
No. You can find a trade for him if you're willing to give him away. And watch them trade him for international signing pool money or some shit like that, like we've seen.
As long as the team eats most of that contract, sure.
Right. I don't think it's impossible, though. I think Andrew Benintendi could be a legitimate contributor for a team like LA or San Diego or New York.
Like any other team than ours.
Literally any other team, pretty much. Like, you got it. It is what it is. I want to see this team succeed, but I don't think it's happening anytime soon. I think Vinny makes a lot of good points with all that. I'm sorry to steal your thunder on all this, Joe. I know you were about to go somewhere with all of this, and I'm interested to hear where, but I just had to put in my 2 cents right there.
It's all good. You kind of laid the foundation for what I was about to pull up and discuss with both you and Vin, but Vin, I'll let you give your thoughts here. I have the statement from Jerry Reinsdorf. It's a long lip service, if you will, just telling fans what it's almost as if he listened. He went on Twitter and he's like, oh, these people are mad. Let me put out some sort of statement. And it's really long. I just put a picture of it up. It's a lot of words. And in my opinion, it's far too many words. And it's basically a long-winded note to say this year wasn't acceptable. We're doing things to get better. Chris Getz is getting better. We're searching for a manager. This is not acceptable. Thank you for showing up, and things are going to get better. You guys all read it. That's pretty much it in a nutshell, right?
I didn't, actually.
Well, fuck you, Zim.
Dude, even after you brought it up and you were like, I'm going to talk about this on the show, like my whole reaction, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the post, but it's like, it's this big, long ass text that this girl sends to this guy. And he just responds with, I ain't reading all that, but sorry, or congrats.
Yeah, I have seen that.
That's how I feel about that. Like, I'm not wasting my time reading that. Sorry, Jerry, or congratulations, whichever suits.
Everything you guys need to know is we'll go back and watch the replay. As soon as I put the statement up and I talked about it, go back and watch Vinny's face that he made. It was like the biggest frown I've ever seen in my life. He's like that. I know what Vinny thinks of the statement, so we'll pass it off to him. But I don't know what the White Sox were thinking, but put out a 2-paragraph thing. You don't have to put out like a novel. I didn't count the words, but it's got to be well over 1,000, probably closer to 1,500 words, maybe more.
Sometimes I hear people talk or, make claims about certain things, whether it be sports or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, you really just didn't do any research. You really didn't think about this like at all. No critical thinking went into this at all. And I feel that way about Jerry Reinsdorf with his statement and his upcoming expectations of the White Sox. They went 41 and 121. No other team in the American League lost 100 games. Okay, it was probably one of the biggest years of parity the American League has ever seen. No team in MLB won 100 games. No team in the AL lost over 100 except for the White Sox. For them to be where the Angels were this year, the second worst team in the American League, 63 and 99, they would need to make a 22-game improvement. Okay, most teams, if they make a 22-game improvement, they would make it to the playoffs next year. If the White Sox make a 22-game improvement, that would just probably mean that they still are the worst team in the American League or one of them. It's tone deaf by Jerry. Nobody who actually watches baseball or even sports thinks that this is getting turned around in 1 year. No shot are they a good team next year. It's honestly crazy to even read some of the things he said in that statement about Chris Getz learning. And Chris Getz he gets a bad rap because he's the GM of the worst team of all time. And he kind of deserves a bad rap, but also, like, would you turn down being named the top scout of a baseball team even if you didn't deserve it? No. Would you turn down being the general manager of the team after they fire Rick Hahn?
No.
No, of course not, because it's $3 million a year or however much. They did no research whatsoever on hiring a new GM from the outside. The only reason they were allowed to do so, because there's a rule in MLB, I think most sports have this rule where you have to at least interview one person with like every ethnical background. And the White Sox they were given a pass by Commissioner Manfred because of how inclusive of an organization they have a history of being. I mean, they haven't had a non-Latino coach in like, I don't know, other than La Russa. Mm-hmm. It's like all their managers have at least a little Latino, and like,
I think he might be the only one this century, actually.
Yeah, and the first black GM to ever win the World Series, I think maybe Kenny Williams was. If he wasn't, he was one of the first. Like it's a very inclusive, how baseball is for everyone type organization. It's one of the only things they actually do right, is make everyone feel included.
Didn't they hire Kim Ng last season as well?
Well, Kim Ng started with the White Sox. I know that.
Correct. I don't think she's back.
Yeah, she's not back, but she started with the White Sox. Where she became eventually in Miami was all traces back to being with the White Sox. Right, so yeah, right. Women involved, people of all sorts of ethnic backgrounds. White Sox are great with that, so they were allowed to hire Chris Getz, a white man, with no issue. But like that just also means they did no other research for anyone. That's the point I'm making out of all this. So that's the only reason.
Maybe somebody should have said, "Hey, are you sure about this?"
Exactly. That's the only reason I'm saying it at all, is because
like when you exit a video game, it gives you more hesitancy than anybody gave the Chris Getz hire.
Exactly. That's the point I'm trying to make. They got no pushback from the owner, or it was probably Jerry's idea to hire Getz.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's crazy to me what has happened with this team since we started doing this podcast, to be honest with you. I didn't even think Jerry Reinsdorf would or could mess it up, because they traded Chris Sale and they got the number 1 pitching prospect in the Red Sox organization and the number 1 overall prospect in all of baseball out of it. And they traded Adam Eaton the next day, and they got 3 of their 5 top pitchers in their organization, and all 3 of them turned out to be good pitchers in the MLB. Lucas Giolito, Dane Dunning, and Reynaldo Lopez are all good pitchers. And they had Lance Lynn, who was amazing, and Rodon was amazing. Abreu was probably, he was there already, so he kind of like stuck it out through the rebuild. But you win Moncada, or you got Moncada from Boston. You signed Luis Robert when the Cubs, Red Sox, Yankees, Dodgers were all begging him to come play for them.
Tim Anderson develops out of nowhere and becomes the face of the franchise.
Exactly. He becomes a superstar, a leader. Everything's going right for TA. He's one of the best shortstops in the league, one of the faces of the league. You win that game at Field of Dreams, and it looks like everything is going your way. You compete with the Yankees, and it just all went to crap. It's one of the greatest team development tragedies I can think of in any sport. I really can't think of a team that looked this promising, and it felt like they did it the right way this much. And it felt like there are a lot of teams that don't reach their potential. There are those Texas Rangers teams that got to the World Series and lost back-to-back years. I think
Hamilton. Yeah,
exactly. I think of what people would think of the Capitals if they didn't win the Stanley Cup in 2018.
Even like the early 2000s Cubs with Sammy Sosa.
100%. That great example.
The pitching rotation they had with Maddox and Wood and Pryor, like those 100%. Were good teams.
Yep. The Baltimore Orioles are in danger of becoming that.
They are on the precipice of being exactly that.
They really are. And it happens in every sport. Think of a team that's the San Francisco 49ers. They've been great for so long, and they're probably just not going to get one. It just feels like they're not going to get one with
that's how the Bengals were for years. The Chargers with Phillip Rivers. Yeah.
But all those teams had slow, steady declines, and it never led to them being the worst team ever. They just kind of rebuilt again and kept trying over and over again. Like, I don't think of the Chargers as this terrible organization in football. They in the Phil Rivers era, they lost a lot of drives by the team driving down with 2 minutes left and losing. Phillip Rivers wasn't even on the field. They used to say perpetually down by 3 with 3 minutes left. And they weren't able to win most of those games. Like the White Sox, they had that 81 year, and that was the decline.
That was the whole thing.
Yep. And it basically, people never want to talk about this because the record turned out to be so good in 2021, but they were like 50-20.
Oh yeah.
At one point. And they ended the season 93-60 or 93-69 was the final record, I think. And that's a great record. That's a first place AL Central winning record. But you were on pace for 110 wins at the All-Star break.
Yeah.
They were kind of crap in the second half.
They really were. And I think we called them out a lot on our show about it. Whether it was rightful or not, we took notice. When you do a weekly show and pay attention to this kind of crap, you have to notice that kind of stuff.
100%. Yeah. It wasn't great in the second half. So from that point on,
you can point at these squads that they put together, and it's a lot like what we're seeing on the football team as well over the last decade or so. You can point to specific needs and say, why didn't this need get filled? Year in and year out, it's the same need that this team had, and it didn't get addressed until finally they brought in a closer in Liam Hendricks, and it was too little too late. That there were 3 needs on this team. 3. And I'm willing to bet if I asked you 2, you could tell me what they are.
Right field.
Yep.
You're talking from 2021, 3 needs?
From 2019 and onward. They still have these 3 needs, to be completely honest.
Well, yeah, they just have 10 more beyond that, too.
Yes. Right field is one.
Field.
Second base.
Second base is another.
You're going to say a manager?
Left-handed power hitting.
Oh, that too.
Those are the 3 things that needed to be addressed for the last 5 seasons, and they still have not been addressed.
And the answers have been Nick Madrigal, Cesar Hernandez, Nomar Mazara.
Not
even really Benintendi.
John Wayne Gacy.
Gavin. Which Gavin Sheets would be like this great story if it were any other team but the White Sox.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Oscar Colas was another attempt at
yeah,
that.
100%.
What's his name? Billy Hamilton was an attempt at that. Oh, Billy Hamilton might have been the best attempt at
Billy
it.
was probably the best option we had.
Billy the hitter, man. But just overall,
Brian Goodwin, right? Did we forget Goodwin?
Yeah,
Oh,
good.
Brian Goodwin.
He was out there in right field the game I went to. Yeah, it's a shame because like it was those three things. That was all they needed, and instead they messed with the pitching rotation. Instead, they brought in a closer, which bringing in Liam Hendricks was a great move. I'm not going to deny that, but they did that instead of addressing things that actually needed to be addressed when Colomé was getting the job done just fine. Might not have been amazing, but he was at least getting the job done.
He was pretty awful after he didn't come back. So,
yeah. I mean, again, I understand there were multiple needs, but those three just like they stand out like a sore, man. And it's frustrating because it's like we all knew it. We just sat here and you guys rattled it off without me even telling you what they were.
and this was not rehearsed for anyone, to be clear. There's zero rehearsal here.
I think all of our listeners were able to do the same thing. You know, we attract diehard fans, hardcore fans, so they know just as well, if not better than we do. You know,
there's more people tuned in now than there have been for quite a while. So people clearly want to hear us complain about the White Sox.
I'm not sure why. There's actually good baseball being played right now between the Royals and the Yankees.
Another AL Central team.
Yeah.
Well, that's a perfect setup. Vin, I'll let you introduce it, but you queued that up really well for us, Zim. Now if I could find here it goes. I could find the little video. We're going to dive into this week's guaranteed take, and after the video plays, we'll have Vinny explain it. So here we go. Booyah.
Booyah. So I wholeheartedly believe that the 2024 Chicago White Sox were an abomination. There's no excuse. The owner's crap. The players were crap. The manager was crap. I heard the milkshake wasn't crap. I didn't try it.
I didn't try it either.
I hope they bring it back because I'll probably be a little less angry going into next season.
That would involve spending money on tickets, though, which any of us were really inclined to do this year.
No, I spent $0 on tickets. I went to one game for free. I was thankful to go, very thankful to the person who gave them to me. But I didn't go out of my way at all. I had no interest. I was like, you've put a lot of time and effort into this team over the last 4 years, and I really did. Every single game I really didn't miss. I wrote every single day, multiple articles every single day for Southside Showdown, and I was pretty burnt out. So I kind of took the summer like kind of away from sports in general. It was a weird feeling, but now that football and hockey are back in full swing, I feel like old Vinny again. But where I was going with it was, yeah, they were so bad, right? Would they have been, though, the worst team of all time if they played in any other division besides the AL Central? And before you start going, trying to make the White Sox look good when they went 41 and 121, I'm like, did you listen to anything I just said? I just got done saying they were the dog pile of all dog piles. They were terrible. If they improved by 40 games, they would still be one of the worst teams in the league. Like, they stunk. I get it. They played so well against the Angels in the last week of the season. You add 10 more of those puppies on there if they're in the AL West. You add 10 more against Oakland if they're in the AL West. Even if you go to the AL East, you have the Yankees and the O's on top, but they went 2-2 against the Red Sox. The Rays were trash this year. I think the White Sox swept the Rays, if I'm not mistaken, at one point this season. And then the Toronto Blue Jays had a lot of power. I think they played fairly well against the White Sox. I'm not too sure on the exact numbers, but it's not like an unbeatable team by any means. And then you look at the AL Central, the Royals, Tigers, and Guardians are all still alive. One of them is guaranteed to be in the ALCS because of the fact that the Tigers and the Guardians are playing each other in the DS. Are the Yankees probably going to end up winning the series against the Royals? I would predict it, but it's not a guarantee. The Royals are kicking their ass right now, looking to tie the series. It's 4-1 Royals at Yankee Stadium. So if that series is tied at the end of the day, who knows what? What if the Royals play one of the Guardians or Tigers in the ALCS, and the ALCS is guaranteed to be the American League Champion division? And then you had the Twins, who they weren't great, but when you go and look at the standings,
They're a pretty good squad.
They went 82-80. They were 4 games out of a playoff spot and only the second team out of the wild card. So like they were right there. With their downfall, they went 2-8 in their last 10. Like they had a really crop September, but they were overall a good team.
I think you could justify that response with just about any team in this division, right? Like Minnesota played a lot better than an 82-80 ball club all year.
Yep.
You know, Kansas City played better than a wild card team the entire season. Like,
so it kind of fits my narrative. Like, would every team in the division be better if they were in another one?
Well, and to me, like, I'm thinking about, you know, we're in football season now, so my mind's equating everything to that. But I'm looking at the Bears NFC North right now, right? Yeah. It's the best division in football through 5 weeks.
It's the only division without a below 500 team.
You start looking at like last season too, and the division was pretty good last year too. It makes you wonder, were the Bears, you know, a better team? What did they end up with? 5 wins last year?
7.
They wound up with 7, excuse me. What would they wound up with, 8 or 9 if they'd been in the NFC South,
which is a playoff
NFC
team.
West, or rather the NFC East, excuse me. Mm-hmm. You know, the NFC East is garbage. And it's similar with the NL East right now in baseball. The NL East is a doo-doo stinky division that is allowing teams to make the postseason simply because somebody has to make the postseason. You know, the AL Central is quite the opposite. It's a black and blue division. It's slug it out. And it's not to try to justify anything for the White Sox, but I do think that they avoid the record if they're in a different division. You know, shit, even if Detroit is in like, even if one of the teams in their division is swapped out for a different team, you know, swap out Houston and Detroit or something like that. And all of a sudden, like, White Sox might have won a few more games, might have missed that record altogether. But yeah, like I say, I think it extends to the entire division that they beat up on each other a lot. And because of that, it deflates everybody's record at the end of the year. And it's why the AL Central is almost guaranteed to be in the World Series right now. It's because you have 5 ball clubs really being built in a really similar way, because they're seeing it firsthand on a bi-weekly basis and understanding this is how to build a winning baseball team. We saw this happen once before too. If anybody remembers, shortly after the White Sox won the World Series in 2005, and then the Tigers went on a big run, and then all of a sudden Minnesota was there, and then the Royals wound up winning it a decade later. Like, this division has done this before. It is not impossible for them to somehow, you know, beat each other up enough that it's basically last man standing. And who's the last man standing but the guy who takes these blows, which is the guy who's least likely to get beat up on. So
I'm with you, Vin. The White Sox played in a really, really, really tough division. This is a team that when they played crap teams, like you said, like Oakland, like the Angels, they beat up on them pretty good.
Yeah.
Not trying to give them not trying to build them up and say that they were better than their record. They weren't. But I do agree. I think if they were in any other division, maybe not any other, not the AL East, but if they were in the majority of other divisions in the American League, I do think that they are bad, but not this bad.
100%. I'm looking at the division. Zim made me think every team in the AL Central has been in the World Series in the 2000s, except for Minnesota.
But they made it damn close 3 times.
And they probably have the best overall record of every team in the division in the 2000s.
think about the stars in that division, and I think most of them were in Minnesota at one point or another.
Yep. Mauer, Morneau. Yeah, they were sick. And then Detroit had that double trouble. It was kind of triple trouble when JD Martinez got there, but with Prince Fielder and Miggy. And then Cleveland had Jose Ramirez and Frankie Lindor for a while. They made it to the World Series. They choked. We know too.
The fact that all of these teams have been good, and the two that have won the World Series are the White Sox and the Royals, is like kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
Detroit did win one, didn't they?
No,
they lost every time they were there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy. And then they had that ALCS loss to the Red Sox when they were like the heavy favorites too. I want to say 2013.
If you told us in the year 2000 that the American League Central will combine for, what is it, something like 15 or 16 ALDS appearances and only win 2 World Series, I think a lot of people would be genuinely stunned by that, and be even more stunned to find out that the 2 teams that won the World Series didn't make it back after they won it.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, that's true. The White Sox have only made the playoffs 3 times since winning the World Series in 2005 and haven't won a series since winning the World Series in 2005. So, yeah, the division, it was funny because when the White Sox were really good too, there were people saying it the other way. Would they have won 93 games if they weren't in the AL Central? Because the AL Central was hot garbage in 2021. And looking back, maybe that's true. Maybe they wouldn't have won that many
very
games.
Quickly it turned around. Just again, like I was saying before, like in 05, they beat up on that division in 05, but it turned around quick.
Absolutely. I mean, they won 93 games the following year and didn't make playoffs.
Yep.
Now, the wild card situation today, they would have made playoffs with that record. But still, you look, there's no, the White Sox have the biggest market and probably the most financial resources of all those teams, but Jerry just doesn't use them. Cleveland's
too
cheap.
busy with his bitch boy balls.
Yeah. And Cleveland doesn't spend any money. They let Frankie Lindor go for nothing. Kansas City, Bobby Witt Jr. became the first player in franchise history to sign a contract over $100 million. Detroit, they overpaid Javi Baez, and they really haven't overspent money since. The Twins dough out money, but it's not always in the smartest way. And then you got the White Sox, who play in the best market with the best city, with the most attractive places to eat and stay and live, and they don't take advantage of it. They're the worst team in the division, and regardless, it is the division they play in, and they went 41 and 121, and sometimes numbers never lie.
You're not wrong, buddy. It has been a painful season for us, but one thing we can look forward to next season, and I say this with great confidence, and I know you guys are all going to agree with me, is that the White Sox, to get people's butts in the seats, always have
great food
and giveaways. I'm looking forward to seeing what Brooks Boyer and the rest of the marketing team comes up with for next year, because they're going to be bad. It's going to have
to be great.
It's going to have to be great. And they're working on it now.
They still had sellouts through the midst of all this season, thanks in part to those theme nights and giveaways. So, people show up as long as you make it an inviting environment. And that's one thing that the White Sox genuinely do when people aren't sneaking guns into their fupas. But
did we talk about how that just disappeared off the record? Nothing. They never.
Doesn't even. Else? It feels like it was this season, but it was last season.
She tried to sue the ball club. That was the last I saw out of it.
The whole thing, I don't understand.
I probably would just go in hiding forever and never bring it up again. But
yeah, there's nothing I want to know about that. But looking forward to the giveaways. I'm sure they'll be over the top food combinations. I'm sure they'll have new, features in the park. They're going to have to do stuff to bring people in. They're going to have more cheap days, more I'm sure
those $5 Tuesdays have got to go all season long next year.
Well, that's what they did for the last homestand of the season. Every game was $5 Tuesday.
Yep.
and they were all jammed,
Cubs did it too, and it worked, You sell those cheap tickets, or you put up cheap tickets, people are going to buy them just because there's nothing else to do. And in a city of 3 million people, you're going to sell them.
Yeah, $5 beer, $5 hot dog, sign me up for that.
Yep.
$5 piece of pizza. It's a ballpark. So,
well, I think personally, I think it would be amazing if they took a play out of Miami's playbook and did the all-you-can-eat tickets. Those $56 all-you-could-eat tickets. That sticks in my brain because it was such a good deal. If I ever find myself in Miami and it doesn't get swept away this week, I would love to take advantage.
Miami is on the other coast. I don't think it's going to be.
I know
as
nothing
bad,
about the geography of Florida, so I'm just guessing.
Although, I guess anything's possible, but
yeah. Overall, like, the White Sox have got to keep doing what they're doing off the field because the product on the field probably isn't getting better anytime soon.
100% agreed.
Truth.
Find a way to sign somebody fun.
That's what I was about to get into next is free agency.
That's it. I love it. We're on the same brain.
Nobody's going to want to sign with us.
Nobody's going to want to sign there. That's why you got to sign somebody fun. Go get Manny Ramirez out of retirement. Like,
Trevor Bauer.
Something. Sign Trevor Bauer. Why the hell not? He's willing to play for the minimum. He might be an asshole, but he apparently isn't as big of an asshole as we thought he was. So,
he's less of an asshole than Clevenger, so I'll take him over Clevenger.
Right. And if your goal is to put butts in seats, the guy is popular. It might not be the greatest crowd that he's popular with, but he's popular.
I just worry he does something stupid and puts more negative light on the White Sox.
Yeah, it would be worrisome, but
be exciting.
They're going to have to do something.
It'd be interesting,
I will say their manager pick is going to influence any minimal free agency. I have a hard time seeing anybody else managing this team right now, given Jerry's statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's AJ Pierzynski because of Jerry's statement, like the no BS, we got to be better. It just sounds like AJ to me. We'll see. I like Skip. I like Skip a lot. He's a former NL Manager of the Year. If you can get Skip, take Skip. But everything that I feel in my bones from Jerry tells me this is AJ Pierzynski. It also helps with what we were just talking about, putting butts in the seats. White Sox fans will gargle on AJ Pierzynski's nuts, and it's true.
Oh, he's like Olin Kreutz for the Bears. It doesn't matter if what he says is intelligent or relevant. People just love him as a player, so they love him as an announcer or analyst or whatever, and they're going to love him as a coach or a manager,
Vinny, where do you stand on your thoughts on manager?
I want it to be someone that like has something about, like, I don't know how to describe it. Pedro Grifol was just such a dud in every way. Like, he talked and it pissed me off. Yeah, like he was cheesy. Like, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna beat your ass, and then you didn't combine to win over 80 games between two seasons.
As the kids say, he had no aura.
Yeah, no aura whatsoever. I feel like a loser saying that because I'm so not cool. But like, I'm wearing an Old Navy shirt. Like, I shouldn't be saying aura. But like, it's just so you're spot on. He has no aura. Get someone who like will say F you every now and again. And I want to hear them say, I know we're going to suck. Like when Ryan Poles came in, he's like, I know we're going to be trash for 3 years. And then we're going to build this thing up. Like, Theo did that. We're going to suck for 5 years. Kyle Davidson did it with the Blackhawks. His still is yet to be proven. There's still 2 years to go on his little timeline. But, like, I respected it when he said it. And give me something like that. I know this team is dog water. we're going to go and fix it. And it's not going to be pretty, and it's not going to be this season. Pedro Grafal made it seem like he was going to try and go on a 10-game winning streak and get this team back in contention. Like,
these guys just need to be motivated better.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think, like, are you this stupid, or do you think we are? Because one of them is true. Either you're this dumb, you're lying, or you think everyone in this room has the IQ of a pine cone. Get out of here with that.
Yeah, PZ makes a good point. He said along those lines, Joe, AJ seems to have toned it down a bit on foul territory.
It's fair.
I don't know. I feel it deep in my bones, guys. I wouldn't be mad about it personally. I wouldn't love it, but I wouldn't be mad.
It would be a very White Sox move. It would be a very Chicago move. How's that?
It would. It really, really would.
Well, speaking of Chicago moves, this team was terrible and awful. Let's do a Chicago move and try to forget about it. We got a few minutes before we try to wrap up and put a sweet bow on it.
You guys think the White Sox could sign Derrick Rose? That'd get some butts in the seats.
Derrick Rose?
Yeah.
He's done with basketball. Time machine before the injury or what?
No. He's fine. Probably.
I don't know if that puts butts in the seats, to be honest.
People love Derrick Rose. They come out for a game.
Now, if they sign Michael Jordan, current age, current status, that'll put butts in the seats.
Could he put down a cigar long enough to play a full baseball game?
No. I tell you what, though, they're gonna watch them put out open tryouts, and then I'll watch.
Shit, I'll be there.
The Savannah Bananas are coming
with my one shoulder.
There you go, Vin. Why don't you talk about that?
Yes, that'll put butts in seats for sure. That's where Jerry's going to subsidize the season, as those $35 tickets right there.
I did want to, like, there are people poo-pooing on the White Sox, like, oh, look at the White Sox getting the Savannah Bananas in town to make up for all the trash that they've had. The Savannah Bananas go to every major league stadium. This isn't a White Sox thing. That's a foolish thing to say.
Are you telling me that they think do people really think that the South Side was the Bananas' first choice for Chicago?
Yeah, exactly. They're going to go to Wrigley Field at some point.
Right?
They were at Fenway this year. They were at Great American Ballpark. They were at Philly. Like they've been all over the place. You should be thankful they're coming to Guaranteed Rate Field. Not exactly negative about it.
In my mind, there is a 0% chance that they didn't pull out all the stops to get Wrigley Field before they said, "Oh shit, Jerry will take it if we just pay him." You know,
yeah. And I saw someone refer to them as a minor league team. Like, dude, just do any little bit of research before commenting something on the internet. Like, they are not a minor league team. They are an entertainment team. They don't play baseball according to themselves. They play banana ball.
They're the Globetrotters.
Don't say that to anyone on that team, though.
Oh God,
what I've heard.
Because they're actually talented. Offensive. There's a big difference.
And the games aren't fixed.
No,
they win and lose as
right. The Globetrotters put on a show.
Yes.
Whereas the banana ball is a legitimate sport. These guys go out there and they play.
Yeah.
I say it's like the Globetrotters because it is just as much about the entertainment, and I say that because they are doing tricks and stunts and all this the whole time. And it's like if the Generals actually had a chance, you know?
Yep. Exactly. It's true. It absolutely is baseball Globetrotters. I'll just say, don't say it to any of the players.
No.
Punch you in the face.
Because I completely understand where the disrespect comes from in their minds with all that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. As a former competitor, you know, as somebody who still competes on just about anything I can, you know, when you're out there legitimately competing, anybody toning that down to any degree is outright insulting. And I get it.
Truth.
So those guys are awesome though. I know, Vinny, you've got your name on the waiting list for it. I've got my name on the waiting list.
I do too.
Cool. I've got friends with names on the waiting list because I told them about it for both Chicago and Colorado. So there's a very possible chance I end up getting to go to one of those games, whether it's in Kansas City, Denver, or Chicago.
Hell yeah.
Well, they have 2 days in Chicago, which I thought was interesting.
Yes, they usually do that. They usually play a series. The reason they haven't is because this is the first year they did Major League ballparks. I've been on the Bananas train for like 3 years now, guys. Like, I know I've mentioned them to you guys before.
Yes.
But to a lot of people, the Bananas are still a new thing. And I've been engrossed with them for at minimum 2-3 seasons.
Every Saturday game on YouTube for free.
Now, yeah, dude, it used to be really hard to find their games.
Yeah.
It was fun though, but at any rate, and their production quality has gotten so much better in the last season. But again, that goes hand in hand with what I was about to say. With this season was the first year they've done the MLB tour. They've done tours before, but they mostly stuck to minor league stadiums, small time kind of places, AAA, AA stadiums at the largest. So this was the first year they attempted the major league ballparks. They're really gaining momentum. So they're going back to their original formula, which is traveling for a weekend series rather than just one game and continuing to do it at the major league ballparks. I mean, the 3 sites I listed off in Colorado, Kansas City, and Chicago. I mean, that's Coors Field, Kauffman Stadium, and Guaranteed Rate Field. Rate. I mean, they are legitimate big league stadiums and they will sell out. I love it.
It's going to be fun.
I'm so glad that it's picking up so much steam.
I just thought it was interesting. You sign up, but they don't ask you how many tickets you want.
It's because you're entered into a lottery.
I know.
And then
don't you think they would ask you how many tickets you want? No,
they don't care.
So if I get in, I can buy as many as I want. How does it work?
I believe there is a cap on it. I think it's like up to, I think if you want more than 10, you have to sign up as like a group.
Got it.
But that's what's really cool with Banana Ball is if anybody out there is interested, tickets are always $35. No matter where they're playing, no matter when they're playing, $35 tickets. They will never change their prices. It is a commitment that they have because they believe that the game is more important than the money. A lot of people talk about, I've seen it floating around Twitter for years now. Kids should get into any baseball game for free. Kids under the age of 12 should be free for any baseball game anywhere. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, grow the sport. Well, that's why Banana Ball is growing, is because they're taking care of their fan. No, I believe it's 3 and under is free, which is still better than most major league clubs because most are 2 and under.
Which, that means I could take my kid for free.
Right. Now, my youngest will be a little too old by then, by a few months. So maybe I can still get people to think he's 3.
I was going to say, he's 2.
Yeah, but he'll be at that prideful age where he's got to tell everybody, I'm this many.
He doesn't know how to count.
Okay.
No, I'm telling you what you say.
Yeah. I don't know, man. You'll be amazed, Joe. I can't wait for years to get there too. The day-to-day growth that I'm seeing in him the last 6 months or so is just insane. He turned 3 and his brain was just like, it's time to wrinkle, baby.
Mm-hmm. Like, what do I do? Anyway.
So that's my spiel about Banana Ball. I'm sorry. I keep taking these things and just running with them. I haven't talked to you guys in so long. I'm so excited to get it all out there. I've got so much to say and I'm railroading all over you guys.
Coming to the South Side, Banana Ball. Vincenzo, any things you want to talk about non-baseball? I know you got hockey season coming up. Yeah, home opener, I think, for the Blackhawks 10 days from now. I think that sounds right.
They have a 4-game road trip to start the season. Tomorrow they play the Utah Hockey Club to open their season. It will be the first ever NHL game played in the state of Utah, formerly the Arizona Coyotes. The Florida Panthers are tentatively scheduled to raise the banner against the Boston Bruins tomorrow. We'll see if Mr. Hurricane Milton keeps them from playing or not, but they are scheduled to play as scheduled as of right now. And then the rest of the league will kick off the rest of the week. This last weekend, the Devils opened the season in Prague against the Buffalo Sabres and won both. So their season's underway, but the season in North America gets going tomorrow. Super stoked. Can't wait. Bar down all season long. It's going to be a good year. I'm so excited.
Hoorah, baby. I love it. Of course, you guys know we got Fantasy Football Goon going all season. Zim's been kind enough to fill in for me a couple times already. And I got another one coming up. So much fun. It's like now when the kid turns this age, you're like so busy.
Yeah.
But anyway, lots of
quick, man.
Yeah, lots of
And
lots
you got
of
another
fantasy.
one on the way.
We do less than a little over 2 months away, which is crazy.
Wow. It's exciting, man.
Hell yeah.
It's and we just took our first on airplane for the first time and had a great time. Great time in Florida, swimming, going to the beach, getting shells. It was like the sweetest thing ever.
Very cool.
And took it like a champ. Like no takeoff, pop into the ears, nothing.
Nice.
Landing, nothing. That's what it's all about, boys. Well, I think the show in general, until there's maybe a manager hire, we might do an emergency pod, talk for 20, 25 minutes about it. If they, for some reason, sign a free agent in the offseason, whatever likelihood that is, maybe we'll do a show. But we're gonna be done unless something major happens before mid-March. A well-deserved break after the longest season of all time. Plenty of other stuff going around to watch. Vinny's got hockey covering. We've got football on the Barroom Network. Of course, Bears, fantasy, you name it. And guys, it's just been fun talking about this terrible team with you guys all year long. Somehow we kept it together. We talked about everything. We talked about a lot of fantasy football on the show. We talked about a lot of pop culture, the whole shebang. But I can promise you this, it wouldn't have been nearly as fun without talking to you guys all year.
Absolutely. Likewise. It was fun. It was very, very fun.
Shoot, maybe we just go live some random Monday during the off season just to shoot this shit for a little while.
I'd be down. I absolutely would be down. I kind of felt like that's what this was like with after being off, for a couple weeks in a row. It was just kind of like we got back together. We're calling it the season finale, but like I'd do it again in November, once in December, once in January.
Absolutely.
Fun.
Yeah, we'll see what the world throws at us. My December's looking a little busy now, but who knows?
Correct.
Correct. Can't imagine why, man.
Depends on arrival time. We'll see.
I hope it's my birthday.
I hope it's Joe's birthday.
The 9th.
I'm a 20th, so we're joking that could share.
Is it more likely to be later in the month?
She's due on Christmas Day.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, it's not going to be on my birthday then.
Joe, if she shows up on your birthday, you're never getting a birthday again, man.
That's not true. I'll make sure that doesn't happen for you. I'll be your birthday wife.
That would never happen. My wife wouldn't allow it, but
good.
It'd be fun anyway to share a birthday. We'll see.
Yeah. She got no excuse to forget your birthday as you guys grow up, though.
Oh, yeah.
Well, anything can happen.
New Year's baby would be cool, too, though. Born at 12:01 on New Year's Day.
No. 11:59 because we want the tax break for this year.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, sounds like if she's not here, it's time to induce on the 31st.
It's like, hey Doc, listen, can you change the numbers by 3 minutes? What do you want? I'll give you. No, that's all right. Whenever it happens, I know there's zero rushing the process, as Zim and I are very well aware of. So,
yeah, that baby's gonna be here when they're ready to be here.
That's right.
And not a moment sooner.
Whenever it's cooked enough. But let's go around the horn, do some shout outs, and then we'll call it a White Sox season and put this thing buried 6 feet under. Zim, we can start off with you. What do you got for shout outs?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I haven't talked enough tonight. Just a big shout out to you guys, man. I love doing this show with you guys. It's therapeutic after a season like the one we've had. I didn't think it was possible. Didn't think it was possible to have a good time talking about this stinky team, and you guys make that possible. So I love being here on Monday nights with you. It's crummy to take time away from the family, but I mean, it wouldn't matter what I'm doing if I'm not with the family. It's feels like I'm missing something all the time. And with that, it's a big shout out to my wife and kids and the rest of my extended family as well. Mom, dad, aunts, uncles, cousins. Everybody's in it together. Sounds like it's going to be our last holiday season in my grandma's big house. So I'm excited to get through all that. And, family sticks together through all of it. I got family down in Florida as well. I don't know exactly how this hurricane affects them, but I hope that they're all okay through it all. And
what part of Florida?
I don't remember. I'm a horrible family member because of that. She moved to Florida. It's as much as I remember.
Well, if it's anywhere on the West Coast, it's gonna be rough.
But at any rate, like I say, all across the country, family, far and close, and a big shout out to all of them, because it's just that's what makes everything that we do worthwhile, right? And it's made this cross country move that I made this season a lot easier, having family close by and far away that just still keep in touch. So tell your mom you love her, tell your grandma you love her, tell your dad you love him. Just reach out to the people you care about and let them know that you care about them, because that's what's most important at the end of the day, right? Sports
Absolutely.
only gets us so far.
Well said, Zim. Well said, buddy. Appreciate you, man. Mr. Vinnie Parisi, what do you got for shout outs?
My number one shout out is always my fiance, Katie. This season stunk, but it was the season where I got engaged. So
I was going to say that.
That's obviously really cool. I'll never forget that, Mark. I couldn't tell you what the White Sox did on the day that we got engaged. That's how
I can tell you what the percentages say, Vin.
Well, they probably most certainly lost, but I like to know those things, and I'm shocked I don't know this one. Like, I can almost tie any event in my past, like with something crazy that happened in the sporting event world that day. But
Vinny, what day did you get engaged? What day did you get engaged?
It was the 20th of July.
I have the schedule
and
here.
You better know that off the top of your head.
No, yeah, it was the 20th of July.
All right, Vinny, would you like to know?
I think they were playing Detroit.
Negative.
Okay.
I was Kansas away. City. They were playing the Royals.
Okay. It was the Royals. Okay.
And in Kansas City.
Okay.
They lost 6-1.
Of course they did. I was very away from my phone that day, obviously.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I was away from everything other than that, which is the way it's supposed to be. But I am a little happy now going forward, knowing that, because there was no hockey or anything going on. Like, no, the Sox lost on the day I got engaged 6-1. That's good to know. But
you got it in your back pocket.
And all my family.
It would be a cooler story if the Royals win the World Series. It'd be a cooler story.
That would be sick. That would be very cool, actually. Now that's what I'm rooting for. Let's go Royals. And then my family, friends, you guys, everyone supporting me along the way and being so fun and part of all this. So I can't wait for what the next year brings. I'm excited in a weird way for the White Sox next season. I'm just not rushing it because it's going to be frustrating, and I'm not ready for hockey season. Hasn't even started yet, so I don't want to think about the end of it either.
I think it's going to feel like 1,000-pound weight off our back when the season starts and there's 0-0. I think it's going to feel a lot better.
Yeah, 100%.
Until we're like a month and a half into the season and we're like, oh my God, here we go again.
Back to the trash.
Back to the dumpster. Well, Vinny, appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for the shout outs. I'll give my standard shout out as well. My beautiful wife, Catherine, 7 months pregnant with our next baby, just going into the third trimester, living that whole big baby growing in you thing. And man, props to her for everything she has to do. It's wild. It's the fun stuff now. You get to, feel the baby kicking and all that stuff, which is totally cool. Also, shout out to my daughter, Audrey. Love you very much. We had a ball on vacation. She did so good on the plane. Just as a whole, beautiful time. And on a lower hand note, on another note, I want to give a shout out to all the people in Florida, particularly all those in Marco Island, Florida, and Fort Myers, where we were on vacation. All the people that live there, all great, really nice people in all the state of Florida. But sending prayers and well wishes to them as they take on this hurricane that's apparently a Category 5 now. So for those of you that are religious, those of you that are not, send good wishes, prayers, whatever, to all the folks on the east coast of Florida. I'm sorry, on the west coast of Florida, on the side of the Gulf of Mexico. So thinking of all those people. Had a great time down there, so hope everyone's okay. I also want to give a shout out to my Great Dane Maverick. He got a little vacation to Grandma and Grandpa's this weekend. Had a real good time with his uncle, their dog over there. So shout out to Mav, miss you too, buddy. And Aldo Gandia, the barkeeper, for letting us have this platform all year, letting us do a show. Just he's the man. So thank you, Aldo. And I'll shout out Mike and BB North. They just had a big wedding anniversary, and I work with them closely on Somebody Big Just Died. Man, the celebrities, poor personalities just keep dropping like flies. The iron is very, very hot on that show right now. Before vacation, Pete Rose croaked really quickly, and I had to put together a show on Pete Rose in like 45 minutes because I'm like, I'm going to be gone, and we can't wait. So did that show. It re-aired today, actually. So for those of you that haven't seen it, you can go check it out. Somebody Big Just Died on Pete Rose, and I'm sure somebody else big is going to die tomorrow. So at this rate, it's going to be every day until the end of time. But we keep ripping them, so no pun intended there. And of course, everyone in the chat room that hung out tonight, appreciate the support all season long. And for all large chunk of you that are watching right now, the White Sox have been horrendous this year. We know. We thank you for sticking with us. We thank you for being entertained with us, laughing with us, and doing this whole thing that we call White Sox baseball. No, we'll be in the park next year at least one time to get a campfire milkshake, to get hopefully a $5 dog, $5 beer, $5 pizza, hopefully all year long. Just let it rip. Bring people in, get them in the seats, and have some fun with it. But gentlemen, it's always been a pleasure. I'll give a shout out to you guys as well. You make this show fun. You make this show what it is. So I appreciate you guys more than you'll ever know. And that's what I got. It's been a nice little bow tied on the season. The White Sox, this is the first time, if I'm confessing, I've worn a White Sox hat in probably a month and a half. So what a better occasion than to put a bow on the season. And it feels a little bit better now that the season's over. So we'll see what happens. Thanks everyone in the chat room. Love you guys. I can't even remember how we close out the show. I do remember now. Here it is. They may be horrendous. They may be the worst team in modern baseball history. No, not maybe. They are. And they may test our patience on a daily basis. And they do. But no matter what, always, 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 even in the face of diversity, pain, suffering, the worst season of all time, we say, let's go White Sox. We'll see you guys. If something big happens in the offseason, someone's going to hire a manager, so we'll see you then. But let's go White Sox. Make sure you follow everybody here on the Barroom Network. Subscribe, like, do the whole shebang. We'll see you guys in the near to distant future. But we'll say goodbye for now. Adios, and thank you guys for a great season. Love you. Go White Sox.